This is Corkscrew Convos, another theme park podcast. My name is DJ.
And my name is Chris.
And we're here to talk about theme parks, roller coasters, barbecue, the theater, the Universal Studios tram tour, TikTok, and everything else under the sun in its time. But first, let's get this disclaimer out of the way.
The views, opinions, and information expressed during the following presentation are solely those of the individuals involved and do not represent organizations affiliated with those individuals. DJ, speaking of TikTok, we've had a busy week, I would say.
We actually are on TikTok, dear listener. If you are not already following us, Corkscrew Convos, we're over there on TikTok. If you don't have the app, understandable, but for those that want to join in on the fun, consider going over there and following us because Chris made a pretty popular video, I would think.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about how TikTok creates its algorithm, that some videos go huge and then other videos get maybe 12 views and they could be posted around the same time on different days, and they're essentially the same thing, but sometimes videos just catch fire, and we had a video that caught fire, DJ, on TikTok.
It definitely did, and as of our recording, it's been out for, I don't even think 3 days, and we already have over 50,000 views on it. That's crazy. We've gotten a lot of followers there. It might actually be our best social platform now as far as followers are concerned. For a long time it was Instagram, and that was thanks to you, dear listener, with the giveaway that we were doing. Thank you for following us there pretty much from the beginning. Really, Twitter was where it really started, but wow, I think we're over 300 followers now on TikTok or something like that.
Well, DJ, we've definitely had some attention with one of our posts, but the real thing that we have to work on is sustaining it, because I feel like with TikTok especially, it's a platform where anyone can make it and have it pick up, have the attention on their post explode once, but now we got to see if we can do that more than once.
Yeah, and it's really funny because I feel like if someone were to ask you, Chris, hey, why was this video so popular, not your others? I don't think you would have any idea of what even to say. I have no clue.
It's not my best TikTok that I've made, I don't think. There are far more interesting facts out there that I've pointed out in TikToks, but for some reason, this one TikTok where I point out why the line for Indiana Jones Adventure is so long to get to the actual show building, and I won't even tell that in the episode. People are going to have to watch
go to
the TikTok.
Yeah. You got to go over there, yep.
If they want the answer, they're going to have to go to the TikTok to figure that out, but for some reason, that just hit the algorithm at the right time.
I love, all the different things you can do on there. I morphed my face into a particular roller coaster, which one looked most similar to me. You can even pair a roller coaster video with an audio clip from The Office. It's really as many things as you want to do on there. And I think it's funny because I feel like at the beginning of this journey, Chris, we weren't really sure if we wanted to do a TikTok or not. We didn't know if that really fit.
Yeah, that's what the kids are doing these days, definitely. But you and I, we're not kids by any means. So it's something that you made the account, DJ, you told me about it, and I said, oh, okay, let's, if we have a good idea, maybe we'll put something out there. But then I said, you know what, let's just do it. And I got to give you credit, DJ. You took my leash off. You unleashed me on TikTok, and I do appreciate that.
Well, now you're the one responsible for the amount of fame we have, so I appreciate you, Chris, and the work you did over there. And we are definitely not kids. We're going to try and learn what the kids are doing these days. I'm still wearing skinny jeans almost every day, and I've now been told skinny jeans are out. And that made me feel really sad this past week.
Well, DJ, the next viral post, I know it's going to be one of yours. I just feel it that way.
We'll see what happens. So make sure you follow us here, there, and everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Did I cover everything, Chris?
Well, there's actually the podcast itself that you can follow on whatever platform you use to listen to podcasts. And speaking of following, there are some new developments going on in the world of podcasting. A lot of interesting things may be announced from Apple, but let us put you at ease before we go any further in this show. Apple recently announced that they will be creating the option for creators to offer paywalls for podcasts and that sort of thing. But rest assured, we are committed to keeping Corkscrew Convos, a theme park podcast, as a free source of information, entertainment, discussion, and maybe a little bit of commentary too. And in the future, DJ, I don't know about you, but in the future, we may offer ways to support the show. We're not going to rule that out, but it's definitely not going to be a paywall to actually access the show. That's not something that we're going to do, DJ. Am I right about that?
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think it's so important that this remains free. It's how you have listened to us for so long, dear listener, and we're going to keep that up. It's a really exciting thing that Apple is now doing with their podcasts, and of course, you may be listening to us on Apple Podcasts, but some of you are on Spotify. Overcast is on there as well, but there's a bunch of different platforms, but it's going to stay free here. Again, we might offer some ways to support the show, but that will be secondary to the actual show. It'll really just be more of maybe immersiveness, maybe just some more VIP-ness to it. I don't know. I don't think we're there yet, Chris. I think where we're at right now is offering awesome information, having some fun, talking about barbecue, and really just doing it all for free. Any barbecue for us this week, Chris?
I didn't really get out to the smoker this past weekend. It was a busy weekend. I mean, it's springtime. Things are picking up again in a lot of ways. And I didn't make it out to the smoker, unfortunately, but I do look forward to cooking some ribs in the next couple of weeks, definitely. That will most likely be my next cook, is going to be probably spare ribs again. It'll be good to get back to that.
I will enjoy informing everybody about my new adventures in air fryer world, as I now have an air fryer. I've cooked a variety of things on it. Did some hot wings, did some Arby's curly fries specifically, some chicken nuggets, chicken fries. You can do anything in it, but I've also learned an air fryer is literally a convection oven.
Yeah, but a small one, and they market it differently. DJ, before we go any further, you said hot wings. Is that a Missouri thing? Because I've known other people from Missouri, maybe the St. Louis area, and they say hot wings. Do you say hot wings?
I don't know. Now that you say that, I'm kind of questioning my entire existence at this point. This is such an existential question.
It's not a bad thing. I'm just wondering.
No, I'm wondering, do I say hot wings? Because I meant to say buffalo wings because they were buffalo flavored. But I think I do say hot wings. Many times I say wings. I don't say chicken wings. Chicken wings sounds wrong to me for some reason.
Oh, okay. That's what I usually say, but okay.
Maybe it's a midwestern thing? Chicken wings, I don't even know, Chris, where that comes from.
Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. I don't know.
Maybe it's hot. Maybe I do say hot wings. I don't know. I do enjoy hotter flavors, but I don't know. You've pointed that out. Now I'm like, oh, there's hot chicken. There's Nashville hot chicken, but that's its own thing.
Yeah, well, wings are one of my favorite foods, and I mean, the chains are out there and they're nice, but sometimes you just get a nice local place that has a decent selection of sauces and a few dry rubs maybe, and you're good to go. That's all you need in life, really.
Really, very true. You can always count on a buffalo, some sort of sweet barbecue, something that's a bit hotter, it seems like, and then usually a mustard something.
Yeah. I usually like a teriyaki too. Maybe get a jerk if they have that available. But, we should say something to the people that might be discovering Corkscrew Convos for the first time, because I get the feeling that there's maybe one or two of those listeners out there where this is their first episode. So first, let me say welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Please wipe off your shoes before you enter the podcast. We have a lot of episodes, dear listener, and that's what we call you, the listener. We have a lot of episodes that you might want to check out. I mean, just recently we did an interview with Chris from the National Roller Coaster Museum and Archives. We also just recently, I think in the last episode, we took a nice look at Coney Island where, and this was the big fact there, millions of people visited in a day. And that is still mind-blowing for me to consider. I'm pretty sure it is for you, DJ, too. But millions of people went to Coney Island on a Sunday or on a Saturday decades ago.
Yeah, all those people out on a beach, out on a boardwalk. I mean, not million per season. I think that's what I usually think of, a few million per season. This is millions a day, which back in the day, there's not as much to do entertainment-wise necessarily. I mean, now we all have the conveniences of our TVs, air conditioning, all the conveniences of home, food even delivered to us. When, back in the day, going to Coney Island, that's a whole different thing. That's maybe not even a yearly thing. That could have been every weekend, folks going to Coney Island, maybe even every day for some people. But that was a great episode, and I really liked that we were able to touch on some of the memories that people had there as well. But thank you for being here, dear listener, both new and old. We like to have fun on this podcast. As we said, we like to keep it free. And we just hope you'll enjoy yourself. That's really our whole goal of this, is to you enjoy yourself, you learn something new, maybe a little bit about food, maybe a little bit about live entertainment, and of course the theme entertainment industry as well. That's really the focus here. So thank you for being with us.
Yeah. So welcome. Thanks. Now, DJ, I got a quick question for you before we get into the meat of the episode. I understand that you're taking some trips soon. Where are you headed?
I am taking some trips soon. It's actually going to be all very close together, basically the same week, actually. So I'm going to go out to Glenwood Springs to check out Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park next month. It's April right now, so it'll be in May. If you're listening to this way past then, I might have already been there. Over at Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park, they have a drop tower that is actually above on a mountain. It starts up at the top of the mountain in a building. It's called the Haunted Mine Drop. It drops you 100 feet into the ground through a cave. You experience like a 40-degree temperature change or something like that. So excited to do that. They've also got a large S&S Scream and Swing that swings out over the cliff. And they also have a roller coaster there that is technically the highest roller coaster in the world. So not tallest drop, but where it's located is on a mountain. So it's the highest in the world with how it's located. That's going to be special for me, Chris, because that is relocated from Celebration City, one of the very first parks I ever went to as a small kid. And so I'm excited to experience that roller coaster again, see how it rides. I think they also had North America's first alpine coaster, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
I think, I could be completely wrong on that, but I think they do. I mean, this park is really cool. You even have to take a gondola to get up to it. So you park at the base of the mountain. Everyone takes a gondola ride to the top. So excited to go there. And then also opening day at Worlds of Fun. I'll be on my way back going home, so it just makes sense to stop there for their opening day. I haven't been there in a while, and I'm going to try and ride a lot of the flat rides. And flat ride, dear listener, is essentially any ride that's not a roller coaster or a track ride. So like log flumes or those car rides like taxi rides and roller coasters wouldn't count as a flat ride. But very excited to do that. And we may have a special guest. So stay tuned. I'll probably be on Instagram, maybe the TikTok. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it sounds really great. I'm looking forward to following along to your special visits on those social media platforms, definitely. But I am going to be getting out there too, actually, and this is something that's a long time coming. Things are breaking in such a way that it is becoming possible for me to really get out there, and I won't tell exactly what I'm planning on doing because these plans are still pretty fluid right now. Nothing is solid per se, but let me just say I will be seeking some sunshine, and that's all I'll say for now. But I am going to be getting out there.
Capital S sunshine?
Yeah,
Perhaps?
capital S sunshine. I will be seeking some sunshine.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, keep us informed, Chris, and you'll probably be on the platforms too, I'm sure. And it sounds like we'll be hearing more about your trips in a future episode.
Oh, yes, of course. I may even bring my phone along and record a quick trip report while I'm there. Who knows? But DJ, it is our 28th episode. We're really getting up there. I mean, I think something like Coaster Radio has done more than 1,500 episodes or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But, I mean, 28 is good for us. We're getting up there. But it is now time that we recognize our anniversary coaster of the episode. This is a roller coaster that first opened in 1928. And this episode, we have a coaster for the little ones, which is evident by its name, Kiddie Coaster. from Rye Playland in Rye, New York.
Yeah, kiddie coaster for any of the younger listeners that might be listening, but probably even younger than that. This is a very, very, very tame coaster.
Yeah.
Most likely a first coaster for kids out there. 1928 is the coaster we're focusing on the year. It's our 28th episode. That's why we do this. This was built by the National Amusement Device Company. They did a lot of wooden roller coasters throughout the 20s to the 70s. You can think of things like Montaña Rusa in Mexico, designed by Frank Darling. Also, one of the designers for Tornado, which was an earlier coaster at Coney Island.
Yeah. We did just, in our last episode, highlight the Coney Island Cyclone, one of the most iconic roller coasters ever, but it wasn't the first coaster at Coney Island. There were all sorts of strange-looking amusement devices and coasters that called Coney Island home since the late 1800s. And this, the same designer that designed Kiddie Coaster also designed Tornado at Coney Island.
And this was an extremely small coaster. I mean, it's a lift. There's a little drop followed by that, a few hills, a few turns. But as of now, as of the time of this recording, we don't really know the stats on it. And you will find with older coasters, this is true. There's plenty of evidence that it existed, whether it be newspaper articles, old photos. But sometimes we just don't know. We don't know the speed. We don't know the height. It really just depends.
DJ, in this case, I probably should have said this before, this coaster's still open.
Oh, is it really?
Yes, this coaster is still at Rye Playland, actually. And the reason why we don't have statistics is because they are not out there on the internet. Not even in rcdb.com, the roller coaster database, not on Wikipedia, not on the fan sites, and I guess the statistics probably exist somewhere, but they were not available at the time of this recording. So that's what I wrote in the outline. I should have told you that sooner, DJ. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Now my mind is wondering why we don't have the stats on a ride that still exists. I mean, I'm sure somebody could go out and measure it.
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
take an
I'm sure
educated
the park
guess.
has it, but we do not. That's all I'm going to say about that. Something interesting about this coaster, though, Kiddie Coaster at Rye Playland, it is a sort of perimeter coaster where you can walk underneath it at several points in the ride. And on the infield of this coaster, there's actually a handful of little flat rides, too. So that really brings the area together. I love when parks have a coaster that just goes around an area so that it's a sort of bookend or just a nice perimeter of the action in the park.
You should see my Planet Coaster playthroughs I do then. That's like the entirety of all those that I do. How
Yeah.
can I make it twisted and go in and out? It's really interesting. And it really, as you said, makes it sort of a centerpiece, or at least something that's all around you as you're experiencing everything else. And I think a lot of coasters don't do this today. A lot of them are over in a corner by themselves. So that's really cool that they were doing things like this back then. And I wish we had more like that, but I understand from probably a cost perspective and that sort of thing why it's just not as possible today.
Yeah, well, who knows? Something that does come to mind is SFB Visa. One of their more recent roller coaster designs does a very similar thing. At the IAAPA Expo in 2019, they showcased a lot of people called it the hamster wheel coaster.
Oh, yes, where the car flips.
Mm-hmm. In addition to the other spinning cars. That was sort of the same idea, where it has a sort of infield that guests can walk underneath the coaster and do various activities, ride various rides in the infield to really bring together an area. So it does have a sort of spiritual successor in that way, but it is definitely the exception to what we usually see with roller coasters.
And what a great way to sell that, too. I mean, you can now sell not only the coaster itself, but all the rides that come with it in the infield. That's a great idea by SFB Visa.
Yeah, of course. They're definitely coming out with a lot of products that I think are very popular. I always see them popping up here and there around the world. But DJ, I think it's time to get into the rest of the episode where we talk about what is going on. So you ready?
I'm ready. Why don't you do the honors?
Corkscrew Convos cleared for dispatch. Let's dive in. So, DJ, what is going on? And what do we mean by going on?
Well, Chris and dear listener, these are things we are talking about, whether they be current events, intriguing developments, funny jokes, ghost stories perhaps, maybe some juicy rumors, any trip reports perhaps. This is where we have a bit more information and we can talk more long form about what's going on. There's a bit of news, like I said, but there's also some opinions thrown in. And I think this was a good episode to really demonstrate what's going on. And Chris, what do you have for us?
Well, the first thing, and I think this is going to demonstrate a theme for this episode, and we've said it before, we're in springtime right now, and we don't just mean that by the actual season. We are in a sort of reawakening. I wouldn't quite call it a renaissance yet, but things are shaking off the rust, getting ready to open again. And an example that we got from that is Universal Studios Hollywood. It just opened on April 16th, and the people that went there since then have noticed some updates to the tram tour. And this information comes from Walt Disney World News Today. They noticed that the Kong 360 attraction that is on the tram tour has gotten some projection enhancements, so really boosting the projection in that immersion tunnel. That's only a good thing, of course. I know that projectors usually do have a very noticeable service life, and maybe with sometimes when projectors get closer to the end of that service life, it really becomes noticeable in any sort of attraction. And so they have replaced those projectors at Kong 360, and apparently it's even better now, so that's great. But the big thing, which I had heard a little bit about a year ago when they actually did this, but now people are finally in the back lot, able to take pictures. DJ, they got rid of Whoville.
Now tell me about this, because I've not been to this park. Whoville, obviously, Dr. Seuss. What does this look like at Universal Studios Hollywood? Is this a set? Is this an area?
Well, this was on the Universal Studios Hollywood tram tour, which is about an hour-long attraction. It goes through several iconic sets, through different elements of the functioning backlot at Universal Studios Hollywood, but then it goes through things that are also sort of attractions-based experience, like Kong 360 or Fast and Furious Supercharged, where they maybe go through an immersion tunnel, they'll jiggle you around a little bit, and then you'll be on your way. But this is, they used to have a set from Whoville that was used in the Grinch movie from the early 2000s with Jim Carrey. This wasn't the original location for this Whoville set, but after they shot it in the studios, they moved these various set pieces to where it stood for about 16, 17 years on the tram tour. But that itself was not the problem, DJ. The problem that I had with Whoville being where it was, and probably other people noticed this as well, is it was literally right behind Bates Motel. And this is the original Bates Motel where they filmed Psycho.
So very, like, all immersion gone, or chance to really look at the Bates Motel in all its glory, and then, this Whoville is right behind it.
Yeah, you have the iconic motel scene with the Psycho house just up the hill, but then you can't look at the motel without seeing this gaudy round foam/cement that unfortunately was not really kept up with, like some things on the back lot. So it was pretty faded and cracked and deteriorating, unfortunately, through the years. But they finally demolished it, and that did, from the look of it, improve more of what the Bates Motel area looks like. And they replaced the actual Whoville sets with what looks to be either maybe temporary or not, it doesn't really matter yet, but more screen-used cars that they've used in various Universal movies.
Well, at least that's better than the cracked and deteriorating Whoville.
Yeah, and I say more screen-used cars because there's an entire section of the tram tour that I love where it's just a long drive past a ton of iconic vehicles from different Universal movies. They have a gyrosphere from the Jurassic World movies, and they also have one of the Jeeps from Jurassic Park. They have a Flintstones vehicle from that iconic, legendary film that was a
Very
cultural touchstone, really.
Good.
Yeah. They have a ton of those cars, and some of them are Fast and Furious cars, but they have so many different kinds of cars there. You just drive past it, and there's more and more and more cars. And so now this is another maybe temporary area where they can put more cars.
Yeah, and if not more cars, maybe more temporary things they just want to show off that doesn't have a place yet.
So that's what's going on at Universal Studios Hollywood. DJ, what do you got for me?
I've got something interesting. I want to go back to the beginning of the episode. We talked about Apple. This is not the only Apple announcement potentially affecting the theme park audience, of course, with how podcasts are changing. It doesn't really affect people listening to this podcast right now. Like we said, we're going to keep it free. But an announcement I thought I wanted to bring to light and I thought would be great for us to talk about are the new Apple AirTags. What these are and what they were announced at this week in the Spring Apple event in 2021 is, in my opinion, a game changer for folks like me at a theme park and really life in general. But at a theme park, I'm a very forgetful person. I get very excited. I'm excited to go to the next ride, the next coaster, whatever's in the horizon. And sometimes I move a little quick and I can be forgetful. And what AirTags allow you to do is take a small tag, essentially, really about the size of a $50, a little bit smaller. Do I need to explain what a $50 is, Chris?
You might.
It's the old $50. JFK is on the coin. It was 50 cents. I have a few in my office in here, but essentially what these allow you to do is either slip into, say, part of your wallet or put on a holder to put onto a keychain, maybe throw into your backpack, purse, anything valuable that you have that you'll be carrying around. And if you lose it, you can find that object you've lost because of this tag you have using the Find My feature on your Apple device. And what's really interesting is how it works. It essentially, depending on where you've lost your item, it essentially tracks down the item with your phone by using other Apple devices in the area. So think about a theme park. A lot of Apple devices at a theme park with everyone in their phones. Many people have iPhones. Maybe someone has an iPad they brought with them, Apple Watch, depending on what's out there. It then uses those objects to find the precise location of your object that you have an AirTag on. So think of maybe a drawstring backpack. Think of your wallet if you take it out when you ride a ride. Whatever it might be, keys are a huge one as well. I know plenty of horror stories of people losing their keys at an amusement park and they cannot get into their car till the next day when a locksmith comes. So this is a game changer. It allows us to find where our objects are at. And I actually have a story. I'm kind of embarrassed to tell it, but one of my very first trips to Universal, I think it was the second trip, actually. I had enough money that I decided, and I was in college, I decided I wanted to buy a wand at Wizarding World. It was during Halloween Horror Nights, and we were getting ready to leave the park, and so we decided to get a burger before we left. And Chris, I left my RFID Severus Snape wand that I purchased in the restaurant. Did not realize until the park closed and we got in our car that I had left it. Would I have put an Apple tag on it? Would I put an AirTag on it? I don't know. That's my horror story of something I've lost that was worth some value. I did reach out to Universal, and I have to say, shout out to Universal. All I did was message them on Twitter. This was a few years ago, 2017, I think. They were incredible. They looked in their lost and founds. They looked all over. It was not found. Unfortunately, somebody might have taken it. If I had an AirTag, maybe I would have kept it around. Maybe I would have slapped it on. Who knows? Because those are expensive wands.
Yeah, and maybe someone could have gotten an AirTag out of it too.
That's true too. But at least I would have gotten maybe a notification. Who knows? Have you ever lost anything in a park that was substantial? I mean, that's probably the most substantial thing I've lost. I don't even think I've lost sunglasses or anything like that.
Unfortunately, I will say yes. I
Oh,
was younger. I was at a park. I had unsecured pockets that just existed. They weren't zipper pockets. There were no buttons on those pockets. And I was fearless. And I was ignorant. I'll say that. I was ignorant of the things that I kept in those pockets, that I rode coasters with. And I'm embarrassing myself, DJ, but when I was younger, I lost an iPod Touch at a park.
on a coaster?
Probably.
Oh, you didn't realize.
I
Oh,
don't
no.
know.
That's the worst feeling too, because then you don't know where to tell people to look.
Yeah. And I've actually had some work here and there and lost and found departments at various different parks, and it's such a common thing that people lose their phones, their keys, their glasses, hats, everything really. It's such a difficult process to recover it, because a lot of times we don't know where we lost it, or when they are recovered in pieces, unfortunately. And yeah, it's just, I hate it.
There's the guest that loses their keys on the roller coaster, let's say, and all they can really say is, I don't know, I lost it on the coaster, so then what does the park, where does their responsibility come in? Do they need to scour the whole coaster after the park closes? We would hope they would, but unfortunately, how some of these coasters are located, they're not meant to be in a place where you could easily find a key ring.
Yeah. And DJ, let me throw this wrinkle into this situation. What if you're at a water-based attraction, not like a water attraction, but a water-based attraction where there is a body of water that the attraction is in? The answer is yes. People lose things in that water all the time too, unfortunately, and that's even harder to recover. And let me pull back the curtain here, tell a quick story. I mean, I have had some experience at a water-based attraction, which is not like a flume or something in this particular attraction, but an actual body of water that people...
You could maybe say an uncontrolled body of water, in a way.
Yeah, that people go around when they experience this attraction. I have encountered people that when they're getting into the ride vehicle, they have glasses that were just dangling from their shirt, and then plop, and then go in the water. Oh, and I had to say, yeah. Oh, we're gonna take a look, but oh, come on. And actually, when I did have the time to put on a show for guests, when they did lose something at an attraction such as this, and as with all my past experiences, dear listeners, I speak in hypotheticals. I don't actually say stuff that I did, but if I did have time to really make a go of it in recovering recovering a loose article out of this body of water, I had maybe a 5-foot long grabber that you pull a trigger and it brings the grabbing fingers
similar
together.
that people use to get something off the top of the shelf.
Yeah,
It's out of reach, but
I had a
bit
really
longer.
long version of that,
longer.
and I knew that I was not going to find their glasses or find their phone, but I would sort of trawl the water in that area for like 15 minutes until they left. And I said, folks, I'm really sorry, but unfortunately, I'm not initially finding it. We will put in a work order. Let's just say it was tough to recover things once they went into a body of water.
Yeah, it's making me a little queasy to think about rides that are like that. Like, think about Apollo's Chariot all the way in the back of the park, bodies of water. Like, you would never find something like that. Or, Wonder Woman, Golden Lasso, you're over a lake. Any ride at Dollywood or Silver Dollar City, like, you just, the chances are slim to none. And so maybe with an AirTag, there would at least be some hope, at least a place to look around. But, we're talking about accidentally leaving something in a cubby, on a park bench. And so I think in that case, I think this could really be a good investment for an avid park goer. I'm sure some people say it's a little overpriced because it's Apple, but I love that it's all in the ecosystem in the Find My app. I think it's a 3-pack is $99.
Oh, okay.
But they're stainless steel, and they're engraved with the emoji of your choice.
Wow, that really brings it all together for me.
Yeah, so I know you'll have it on your wish list, Chris.
Yeah. So, DJ, that is what Apple announced, but who else announced something just recently?
Well, Ride Entertainment out of Maryland announced something interesting. And what's interesting about this is they kind of announced something for another company. They're essentially what you could call almost a broker for selling different rides here in the United States. They work on behalf of a variety of companies, not in the United States, in other countries, and kind of act as their advocate, let's say, to sell their rides. And of course, they get a cut off the rides they sell, and there's a relationship there. And so they made an announcement, Chris, for a company out of Germany called Gerstlauer. Now, Gerstlauer has a variety of rides already here in North America. Mystery Mine at Dollywood, along with Fire Chaser Express. They have the world's steepest roller coaster at the American Dream in New Jersey, the indoor mall over there. Variety of indoor rides, outdoor rides. Almost every park probably has a Gerstlauer. I wouldn't say every park, but a majority of them do. Ride Entertainment announced for Gerstlauer that there will be a record-breaking roller coaster coming soon in 2022.
Well, that really got a lot of us thinking on this here internet. A lot of people are speculating.
Twitter went crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what records are they going to break? They mentioned something about difficult terrain or surroundings that they're going to be building with to make this a really unique, special project. So some people, including Mr. Hyde from In the Loop, he said Glenwood Caverns. And I think maybe. DJ, did you have anything in mind?
Well, when I heard Hyde say that on Twitter, when I saw that, it perked my ears up because I'm going there very soon. I'll be able to do a little reconnaissance and see if I can find any markings. A lot of coaster enthusiasts, they like to go out and we look for different flags or markings or things out of the ordinary to maybe hint at something. This puzzles me a bit. They made it just broad enough to where it's a bit difficult to guess. I think the terrain element you mentioned, Chris, is something to consider. And when I think of a terrain element like that, I don't really know. I do like the Glenwood theory. I'm thinking of other parks that aren't located in great terrain spots. Both Hershey Parks, Dollywood, Silver Dollar City come to mind. I don't think either of those parks are going to be doing something like that. And so I keep thinking, where could it be? Where could it be? I don't know. Maybe something like Knoebels, but that they have some good flat ground where they're at least where the park is. I know there's mountains around it. I don't know. I think you had said that maybe initially when I texted this to you, you thought that it would be a standalone attraction?
Well, let me get into that. I think the fact that this manufacturer that everyone is speculating on is Gerstlauer, this is a manufacturer that isn't necessarily tied to any particular operator like some other attraction manufacturers are. Gerstlauer does business with a lot of operators, and I think that does muddy the waters in trying to read into what they're going to be building. But the way that the press release was worded almost suggested something singular, something maybe that stands on its own as an attraction. So I thought, let me put some outside-the-box speculation out there. What if they're doing something in Vegas? What if they're doing something in New York or even Santa Monica, just west of Los Angeles? Maybe, probably not, but at least let me throw that out there as a standalone attraction. This alleged record-breaking roller coaster, maybe.
What record do you think we're going for? I mean, you jump immediately to, at least my mind does, fastest, tallest, and longest. Those are the top three for me. I don't think it's any of those three without getting specific. What I mean by that is adding another subcategory. So, for example, Gerstlauer claims to hold the record for the longest, quote, free spinning coaster. What they mean by that is a spinning car that's not inhibited by a magnet. And so they're getting really into the weeds with that sort of description. I would think it's going to be something similar to that. I think there's going to be another title there. There is a good chance that this could be a new inversion record holder. I say that because Smiler currently holds that record over at Alton Towers, 14 inversions. It is a Gerstlauer. They just need to slap one more on there and it would be a world record.
Yeah. I think Steepness of Drop is another one that might be there. I don't know if that would warrant this sort of press release, but who knows? It might be.
Is this the first time? I don't think I can think of any manufacturer or broker that would come out with a press release before a park would, which makes me think more of smaller park or, like you said, standalone attraction that might not know what they're doing, and trying to be nice about that. But I don't see why you would ever want your manufacturer to announce it's coming before you as a park would.
Well, I think in this situation, it's Rider Entertainment and Gerstlauer putting themselves in the top of a lot of people's minds, both in the industry and fans too. I mean, the fans are sort of a peripheral get of attention for this press release. They're definitely not the target audience by any means. It's the people that are operating the parks and making the decisions on what coasters go in where and what construction firms to hire, which Rider Entertainment does also provide, and they mention it in this press release. So there's a lot of elements that they are promoting with this press release, and I think that's why they did it. It's definitely not something that we can read into and get real details, but it's something that puts Gerstlauer out there and Rider Entertainment out there so that people are thinking of them. And I think that's why they did it.
That's a good point, and especially with, a more relaxed year like we had last year, we didn't see as many announcements as we normally would. We didn't have the IAAPA Expo, the International Association of Amusement Park and Attractions. Their expo did not happen. So it's kind of the places to announce that were kind of lost. So I think you're right, Chris. It's definitely keeping it top of mind with these parks who might be looking to the future to say, oh, exactly like you said, keep them top of mind. Hey, Rider Entertainment, they're building something record-breaking after 2020. Let's check them out. When's the last time we talked to them?
Yeah. Well, that's what I think they're doing there. DJ, it is now time for our lightning round. This is a fast-paced segment in which we go over things that maybe we don't have a lot of information on, or things that we don't have a lot to say about, or also just follow-ups to previous discussions that we've had. And I feel like pretty much every lightning round that we've had for the last couple of weeks, there's been something about the Velocicoaster. So DJ, what's going on with that?
It truly is a follow-up. As we follow up on the news of Velocicoaster, we have seen that they are doing Season Pass Preview Day. This is through Walt Disney World today. They announced this. That's where we got the news from, I should say. But it seems Universal sent out invites to pass holders to reserve a spot to experience Velocicoaster as a preview. So this is going to happen from May 2nd to the 5th. Reservations are required. So from what I understand, this is more than a virtual queue. You'll have to have an actual reservation before you go to the park. But it is your chance as a season pass holder to experience this ride. As with most of Universal's previews, soft openings, whatever you want to call it, there's always a disclaimer that, hey, some effects might not be working as intended. You might spend a little bit more time on a block break. Just be prepared for that. So I would imagine, unless they're really, really strict on it, and unless they really button it down, we may get a POV very soon of Velocicoaster if the park doesn't release it beforehand.
Yeah. Well, so I look forward to seeing pictures and videos of people riding it because they've done a little bit of human testing for Velocicoaster, but we've said it in past episodes, they can't just open it and expect it to work with all the operators and the technology and the coaster. They have to test it out. They have to test and adjust things, and this is the opportunity to do that through these past preview days where they can have a low stakes or relatively low stakes situation to get the operators comfortable with the new technology and really refine their operations.
Another bit of lightning information coming to us from the Columbus Zoo, provided by Screamscape. Chris, you want to talk about this one?
Well, at the Columbus Zoo, they are getting a new roller coaster, and they just announced it in April of 2021, but it's also a coaster that is going to open in 2021. And I don't know if we've encountered that pretty often where they announce a coaster and then they open it that same year. But that's what the Columbus Zoo is doing now. They are installing Tidal Twist, new for 2021. This is going to be a Zamperla compact twister coaster. And Zamperla has put in spinning coasters here and there. Of course, they have one at Coney Island. There's also one at Beach Bend in Kentucky. And there's a handful of other coasters like this around the country and the world. This is a compact version of that, so it'll be a little smaller at 36 feet tall and 30 miles per hour. But it will be the second coaster at the Columbus Zoo. Pretty sure it's the only zoo in the United States to have two roller coasters because they already have the Sea Dragon, which is a nice little wooden coaster.
That's really interesting. Yeah, you don't really think of roller coasters in zoos, at least not in the United States. I think of maybe some flat rides, a zip line experience, some sort of cable lift. But I guess Columbus Zoo has a record along with Gerstlauer, so maybe they'll tote that around.
Yeah. So that was our lightning round, 2 little flashes of lightning, but now it is time to hit the brakes, but we're not done yet.
We're not, dear listener. Be sure to send us questions. We would love to have a corkscrew conversation with you. We are all over social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Corkscrew Convos, and as well as TikTok. We are on the TikTok, Corkscrew Convos, and we even have an email, corkscrewconvos@gmail.com. And just a little tease here, Chris, and it currently works, corkscrewconvos.com. For now, that's going to get you access to our podcast, to our Anchor platform. But, dear listeners, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay. We had a big week this past week on all of our socials, so I will say, dear listener, if you aren't following, you're missing out. So get on that.
Definitely. There's a reason to follow the show on each of these platforms.
Yeah, and if you have made it to this end of the podcast, you haven't already turned it off, great job. You're very thorough. We appreciate that about you. But also, go ahead and follow the show. Make sure it is in your queue whenever we put another one out there onto the feed. We do it around a weekly basis, pretty reliably, I'd say. There might be some hitches here and there that prevent it from going out exactly every 7 days, but we're pretty regular. So we would appreciate you to follow the show so that you can then have the opportunity to listen whenever you'd like.
Absolutely. You love to have the podcast in your feed, wherever that might be. You can easily access it whenever you'd like. It's really just a convenience for you. And be sure to be on the lookout for our next big giveaway on social media. We'll be announcing that soon. And the next one will be something special, we promise.
Oh, yes. Very special. But until next time, my name is Chris.
And my name is DJ.
And this has been another Corkscrew Convo. Thanks for listening.